Hey YouTube! So in for a setup, I've got a Epiphone Les Paul. This is a samick one, so the serial number starts SO1 for 2001, and it's rather, I don't like Les Pauls, but it's, as far as Les Pauls go, look at it, it looks fantastic. So really all I needed was a wee bit of a setup. Unfortunately, sorry Chrissy, but I snapped one of your strings. See, as soon as I went, one of the problems I had, or the main problem was, see the bridge pickup sat flat, so I took the pickup out, stuck some foam rubber behind it to get it to sit more parallel with the strings, and as soon as I touched the D string, I turned it down and it just snapped. So I've done my I don't actually have other strings just now. I know you like elixirs. I did my quick fix, which is what you do is, if I take, every time I throw away old strings, I always cut off the end bit where the ball is, and the string snapped right on the tuner. There must have been a wee kink in it or something like that. So as soon as it touched it, it just went. So what you do is you stick the existing strings through the ball end, and then twist it as much as you can, and then you put super glue on it to stop it untwisting. Leave it for 10 minutes, and then put it on, and it's a temporary fix. Strings are temporary anyway, so I wasn't going to bother ordering new strings in. I'll do that if you want. I'll give me a message. One of the questions you really had was, are the pickups in it good enough? Because I've always said my Epiphone SG had rubbish pickups in it. It was a bit older. It's a 1996 though. I think my theory was that because the guitars they were producing were so good that Gibson kind of made them put intentionally bad pickups in it so that they didn't compete with the Gibsons. Because build wise, it's really, apart from the headstock, you wouldn't know it wasn't a Gibson. It's a fantastic, the build quality on it is just nuts, and it's pretty much brand spanking showroom condition. It's got its original hard case, so I think one of the things about buying a guitar that's got a hard case, there is a chance that basically it spent most of its 20-year life in that case, so it's not been getting sun faded, not been getting dust on it, not been getting, well, used basically. It has been played, but it's got the slightest bit of fretwear kind of around about the cowboy chords, but really only just enough to say no, it's not brand spanking new. You know, if it said it was 6 months old, but I fine, or someone's played it for once, played a gig with it, you know, yeah, that kind of level of fret wear. So I'm going to have a wee shot at the pickups and see what it sounds like, really to see whether I'm kind of along the things of, these are getting more desirable now, the old samick Epiphones, because I mean, let's be honest, they're a lot better than the current Epiphone ones I've played. Like it's a much nicer guitar, much better built. So these are getting desirable. I wonder if there is there a thing about keeping it original? I know it sounds silly, but look at my pal Scott's Fender Stratocaster, 1969 Fender Stratocaster, when somebody put like a Floyd Rose in it and humbuckers. Back then, you know, we're talking in the early 80s, it probably wasn't worth that much money. It's like, it's just no one's ever going to want an original 1969 Strat. Why would you want that? So there might be an element of that in this. So that's both pickups on and clean. Bridge pickup. Maybe a little bit muffled. Probably do with lowering that neck pickup a little bit. That's quite a bit louder. It's maybe a little bit close to the string, so maybe just lower that down a little bit. So sometimes the way to do this is not to have it as high as you can possibly get it with the strings not hitting off it, although that's kind of a good place to start. A bit of distortion, Joe US Dream. kind of dare to say I don't think there's anything wrong with the pickups. It's if I hadn't been asked the question, I wouldn't have done anything. They're not noticeably bad. They don't noticeably be in tune. Since I just had the strings off it and put them back on again. I'm of the tendency to say I don't think there's anything wrong with the pickups that are in it. I don't know if I'm going back to my memories, but my memories when I had my Epiphone SG where the pickups were atrocious. These are definitely not atrocious. Mind you, maybe that's because mine's a 95 or 96 model. 5 years later, you know what it's like with these things. Even if they don't tell you they've changed the spec or an Epiphone guitar, occasionally, every couple of years, they'll maybe change the pickups or things that they don't really feel worthy of mentioning that they've done it. Sounds like a good Les Paul to me. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I have to say that the fretwork on this is a lot better than the Gibson I just did yesterday, which the video will maybe have gone up yesterday or maybe go up tomorrow. Like an SG special. The frets on this are much nicer. Fret ends, I'll do the slashing your wrists thing on this guitar, no problem at all. I suppose what I'm going to do now is I don't really have a Les Paul to compare it to, so I suppose if an SG doesn't sound that different and it's got the Gibson pickups in it, so I'll maybe pause this and put on the SG and then see how different it sounds. Although there is inherently a difference between an SG and a Les Paul anyway. It really does that. I'll probably turn the tone all the way down. It's got the sustain that you want. So same settings and everything, different guitar. I'm going to pause it because the SG hasn't been tuned in months. So and the SG, just as a warning, has my favourite ever neck pickup in it. So it's got a fair thing to add up to. Just how much better? I'm sure it's got a better sound, but that's just the pickups, not so much the guitar. I don't think sustain on this guitar is amazing, really, isn't it? Just go for lunch. Rocking. So I'll just pause this and I'll be 2 seconds. Right, so now onto my SG. This is a 90s SG special. Neck pickup, my favourite one ever. I changed my mind twice there. The SG does have much more bite, but is that an SG thing? More like an SG versus a Les Paul? I think the pickups are better. But, so when I took this off and I put on the SG, I immediately thought, whoa, this is much better. And then I went back to this and I went, this is just the same. So it's hard to tell. It's a lot of it's just in your head. The thing about doing up a guitar, putting Seymour Duncans or whatever in a guitar like this, you will not make the guitar worth more. Like, you put £150 worth of pickups in it, the guitar will be worth £150 more. So whatever you do, I would, well, assuming you can fit the pickups yourself, it would be me that's fitting them, so I'm kind of talking myself out of a job here. But it obviously, I would keep the old pickups if you're fitting them yourself, because then £150 worth of Seymour Duncans cost you £150, whereas getting them fitted, it's going to be another £100 on top of that from my shop, and then putting them back to original later, going to be £100 again or whatever as a shop charges to fix them. So kind of, so really, it's pretty indecisive. I'm not good at making decisions. If this was mine, like if I found this, what would I do with it? I'd sell it because I'm not really a Les Paul person. Although as far as Les Pauls go, this is about the nicest one I've played, and I'm kind of including Gibsons in that. I think 2001 is kind of round about the end of the era for when Samick were making Epiphones, before they get their contract pulled, and then the Epiphones became, you know, Chinese. And as far as I'm aware, having of my experience of playing them, the quality went down quite a big bit. I do remember this happening when I had my Epiphone SG, because I bought mine, I think it was £225 I paid for it in 1998 or something, and then a few years later they were actually cheaper than my one, and I was like, I've only had it 4 years and they're now cheaper. And I played one of the cheaper ones, and it really was half. The guitar was half as good. You could have, I know I'm going to get people saying, oh, but I've got a Chinese one, it's amazing, but it can be set up well, and still a good guitar. But just when you get into the sort of realms of it being a little bit fancy and special, they're kind of not. Yeah, so again, indecisive, I'm sorry. Maybe you can tell, I mean, both cars there are playing through the same amp and the same speakers and the mics in the same place. You can tell a difference, but then you're going between an SG, which are characteristically a bit more bitey, than a Les Paul, which is a bit more oomphy. So in that respect, yes, it is more oomphy than the SG. So it works. But a pickup change is not necessary in this guitar, so really it's up to your decision whether you want to put other ones in. And I think these are fine, totally. Not holding tune because I've been had the strings off it though. Notice it's not one of the strings. The string that I put the quick fix on hasn't gone out of tune any more than any of the other strings, so it didn't go out of tune there. Yeah, no. Okay. I'll get myself a little bit more into a decision. No, I wouldn't change pickups in this. I think the pickups on it are fine. Which is not the way I thought it was going to go, because I was sitting there going, well, in my head it says, oh, it's an Epiphone. Gibson's obviously much, much better. And it's like, I think you can't really argue that it is. The Gibson pickups are better, but not vast swathes of betterness. So, yeah, inconclusive. Rock on.